Hi, friends. It's Angela with Wild Violets Art. It's Monday evening, so happy Monday. Hopefully, it's a happy Monday. I know I wore myself out considerably because I ended up doing some gardening 3 days in a row. And then on the third day, I spent about 3 hours in the sun. Well, there was some overcast, but I think it was a little too warm on the third day, so a little heat exhaustion. But I think I'm fully restored, so feeling a lot better. I hope that you had a great weekend. Today, I'm going to be playing with a fun little bundle called A Little Cheer. It includes this really sweet little festive stamp set with all these cute little sentiments and um, Christmas items or holiday items. And then we've got these three little mini punches that coordinate with three of the items. So it makes for a really fun way to create cards, gift tags, whatever you want to do. So I'm showing you three really fun cards today. These are pretty simple, clean cards because I know that when you're making 75, 100 cards to send out for Christmas, production is going to be a big thing. I tend to go a little over the top, but these will give you some great examples of things that you can achieve and you don't have to spend a lot of money. So the first one we're going to do is this cute little card. I've been using the Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder as a backdrop, and then just a little piece of basic white cardstock. And then I'm stamping and then also popping up the little tree. But I'm going to do one with the little stocking because I think that would be just as cute and just as festive. So let's get started. So this will be a first card that we do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out the little stocking. You can see that I've used it a lot. I do have a couple more cards I can show you that are really fun. I have exhausted all of my little blocks because I've got all these kits available. Now, out of these three, I have to choose one that I'm going to do for my card class on Saturday. So if you're interested, you need to vote on which card you want to see included in the class on Saturday. So it's a fun way to make some cute cards. Okay, I showed this to you before. This is Melissa Faust. She created this, and she used a little cheer for the background for this cute llama. So I demonstrated this llama along with the Long Time No See stamp set last Monday. But this is another card that I made, and I did a little 3D embossing here with, I believe it's called Glass embossing folder. And then I use the swags that are part of this little, so it's just a little different of a Christmas card. And then this one, of course. Okay, so what we're going to be using is an A2 card base. And then, of course, these cute little real red and white adhesive backed peppermints. And then I have the real red and white baker's twine. And then I've got a piece of real red cardstock along with, and this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then this piece here is 4 inches by 2 3/4. So this will be what we'll layer on top of here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to place the red cardstock in the ginormous Forever Plaid embossing folder. I just think it's a really fun folder, but it allows you to make really big cards. So that's really nice. All right. Such a huge embossing folder. And it actually works really great when you're trying to do things like scrapbook, because you can do a very large piece for your scrapbook as well. Okay, so let's fold the cardstock over. And we'll braise it. And then we're going to glue this piece of cardstock down. So like I explained on Friday, I'm using a new tool. It's just a dispenser for glue. It's a little faster. I'm still using the Tombow adhesive, but I put it in a refill bottle so I could use that dispenser. Okay, so this is the card base, and I like the little white trim. I think that that just kind of makes the cards have a little bit more of an uplifted or a prettier look to them. Okay, so real red ink pad, and we're going to use the little stocking, and I'm going to put it up just a little bit higher than I did before. And then I have a scrap, and I'm going to punch that out. And then clean this off as quickly as possible because the red stains these little stamps pretty heavily. Okay. And then I'm going to put my little sentiment, sending a little cheer. See how much ink I can get on my hands. And I'm going to put that just under the stockings. Make sure I've got this level. And then I'll clean this off. Got a lot of color on this thing. Okay. All right. So now I'm just going to punch out. Let me get this closed up so I don't end up getting it all over the place. I'm going to punch out this cute little stocking, and I'm going to pop it up. The thing about these punches, just so you know, it actually cuts within your image. So you don't get that little white area on the outside, which is kind of fun because you get a really clean little punched out image. So I'm going to use a little mini, actually I'm going to use one that's cut in half because this is a pretty small little image. And then I'm just going to place it right on top. So it just has a little bit of a 3D element. So you can see that it just pops up, just makes just elevates your card just a little bit. Nothing fancy, but just a real simple one. And then I'm going to use some of this real red and white baker's twine. And we're going to wrap it around 3 times. And then in order to help me tie my little bow, I'm going to place a glue dot. And that is where my bow is going to end up. So let me just wrap these around so that it's caught all 3 pieces. And then I'm going to press it down, and it holds it, as you can see. Now I'm going to spread these out a little bit. It just helps me kind of hold things in place while I try to tie my little bow. And I want the bow to just be a little, tiny little thing. And then we'll just trim off the excess. Okay, and then we'll add these cute little peppermints. There's actually 3 sizes in this, and I was waiting forever last year to try to get a hold of these, and they were just sold out forever. They were so popular. It was really, really frustrating, but okay. And you can see that I'm pretty much done with the card. All I need to do now is adhere it to my card base. For my envelope, I can easily stamp just one of these little stockings, or I can make a whole row of them, whatever I want to do. I'm just going to add one of these to keep my little threads in place. Because I want to pop this whole section up, because I think it just adds a little bit. You could actually do this on a note card and just leave it like it is, and that would be really cute as well. So here I go. Aren't these cute? You could just do a whole bunch of them. All right, so that's the first card. Now the second one we're going to do here is Christmas time is here. So this tree is made from the Timeless Plaid 6x6, and it's still available. And I used, you could probably get, let's see, I want to say pretty easily you can get 3 out of one of 6x6, but if you made the tree a little bit smaller, you could probably get 6 out of 6x6 inch. So let me show you what I did to make this. So what I did is I took a small piece of paper and I folded it in half, and then I just laid it on there, and then I made the spots where I'd be cutting, and then I used my paper trimmer to make sure that all 3 sides are nice and straight. So you can do it however works for you, but I just love the look of these trees, and the Timeless Plaid has so many great colors that are great for Christmas. I mean, this one here, this one here, there's just, I mean, the blue one would be beautiful. This one here, there's just so many. And remember, there's 2 sides to all this paper. So they all make really fabulous Christmas trees. So just a great idea for a little different of a Christmas card. Okay, so for this one, let's put this one out of the way. I am using a 4-inch by 5 1/4 piece of basic white, and then I have the 2-tone cardstock because I just like how it's got the 2 colors. I could have used either side. I decided to use the darker of the 2. This is the Lost Lagoon, and so I'm going to use Lost Lagoon, and then I am going to use the little star, or the little well, it could be a star or it could be a snowflake, either one. And I'm going to use that for my snowflake background. Okay. So I'm using just the rhinestones because I think that just adds a little sparkle, and it coordinates really nicely with the star as well. So I've got a little piece of silver foil, and I'm just going to punch out a star for the top of the tree. And I've got an extra one of these, so you can see this is the way it's going to sit. And then now I just need to create my background. So I'm going to stamp one full, stamp one off. And you can just create a pattern. Looks like I need to re-ink my pad. You don't need to make it a pattern. You can actually do whatever you want. But I think it looks really nice when you do. There you go. So it doesn't have to be quite so symmetrical or exact. And then I'm going to use the stamp pad for the sentiment. So let's place my star and my Christmas tree. All right, so I want my sentiment right down here, and I want my star just above there. So let's go ahead and glue this down. And this makes a great pattern as well. You don't have to just use the plaid. You can use this other one. And I've got a gob of glue. It's the only thing I'm not a fan of. Let's see if I can get this off with a tissue. It does gob up, and I forgot to clean it off first. Okay. So let's just make sure this is level. And then I'm going to place my star. And I like using my little tweezers because it helps me see where I'm placing everything. And then my sentiment. There we go. All right, now we can just glue this onto the card base. So again, this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 two-tone cardstock in the Lost Lagoon. And then onto a card, an A2 card base. And again, I just love the little bit of basic white that peeks out around my card base. It just makes for a really beautiful card. And now we can add our embellishments. So I'm adding 2 of the bigger embellishments. And then I'm just going to decorate my tree. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? And it just picks up the colors of the paper. It's just beautiful. Lots of sparkle. There we go. Simple card. Just took a few minutes. Here we're only a few minutes into my live, 19 minutes, and I've done 2 cards. So you can see sometimes it really helps when you're making a large production of something to just keep it simple. Okay, the last one is a fun one. It's a little different. I liked these colors that they did about 2 years ago for Christmas. And I just thought it was kind of a fun way to pop it up. Now, the sentiment, typically I would just stamp it on the card base, but I messed up. So then you just add a layer and it fixes your mess up. So if you can't get an embellishment over it, then like one of my words was crooked. It wasn't straight. So, all right, so we're going to make this card now. And so the colors that we're using are Coastal Cabana, Granny Apple Green, and Flirty Flamingo. So you can see I've got my different layers. So this one is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. This is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And then this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So this will be the one that I'm going to work on. And we're going to put the card base over here. And then the embellishments that I'm using are the rainbow adhesive back dots. So you can see they've got the Flirty Flamingo. And so that's where I got these cute little dots. And I think they just really make this cute card pop. And as you can tell, I've got, again, a Christmas tree that's popped up in the middle. So let me just show you how I did that. Okay, so I'm going to start with the card front, and I'm going to line it up with my grid paper. And then I want my trees to be about 3/4 of an inch up. So you can see where I'm putting a line so that as I stamp, I can kind of keep things in a line as best I can. Okay, so I need the tree for this one. Let's get this as straight as possible. And then you start with the one that is not the same as the other colors. Okay, so I'm going to start with that one first, about right here. And then I'll put my Flirty Flamingo away. Have you decided which card you want to see me use for my card class Saturday? It's a card buffet, so it just means you just make as many cards as you want. Okay, so now I'm going to just keep stamping the same little Christmas tree over to the right, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the left. Oh, I needed to stamp one more that can be popped up. If you notice, my trees are not perfect. I need one more that is in Flirty Flamingo. And that way I can just punch it out. All right, let's put this one away. Let's take out Merry Christmas. And then I'm just going to pop out a little tree to pop up on my card. And then I'm putting Merry Christmas above and below. See if I can get this one right. I almost did the same thing again. My little Mary wants to not be on straight. This will be in Coastal Cabana. And I'm just going to put it over and above and below the one that I'm going to pop up. So I think that turned out great, right where I wanted it. Now, obviously, I could step it up and add another layer, but it's not necessary. You don't need to make it more complicated than it has to be. Then I'm just going to add a little dimensional, and then I'm going to add my little Christmas tree. So I have one popped up in the middle, and it just makes for such a fun card. And then just some of these cute little embellishments in Flirty Flamingo. You can do it however you want. I seem to never make the same thing twice, unless I'm doing a card swap. So really cute, fun little card. Okay, so now we just need to glue it down to the layers. All right. And there we go. Cute little Christmas cards. So there we are. I've got 3 cards done, and it's not even been 30 minutes. Now, granted, I had a little help because I had everything cut in advance, but you can see how quickly these little cards come together. So I hope this gave you some great Christmas card ideas. If you'd like more, you can subscribe to my blog, Wild Violet's Art. If you're watching this later on YouTube, please like and subscribe and share with a friend. I could always use a little love on my Facebook as well. So thanks so much for joining me. And that's all I have for tonight. If you have any questions, be sure to reach out. I will have these posted on my blog, hopefully later this week, if not next week, with all the measurements and instructions. Thanks so much. Have a great evening.